I'm oftentimes asked, why am I obsessed? Why do I revere? And why do I love Abraham Lincoln? And of course, when you think about all the people in history, there is one person that I admire the most, and that happens to be Mr. Abraham Lincoln. And there's so many reasons for that. One, to go from absolutely nothing, of course, to walking, to be able to borrow a book, and to become President of the United States. And to be there at such a critical time, to use all of his cognitive framework, experience, understanding, intelligence, empathy, in order to guide our country through its most difficult time is of course endearing. But there's so much when you lift up the proverbial hood on Abraham Lincoln. You learn how he was a great man. Lincoln actually owned a newspaper. He owned a German language newspaper in Springfield. I believe that was in somebody else's name. He was incredibly shrewd. And Lincoln solved problems. So when he was out on a riverboat and when there were shoals and obstruction, on several occasions he faced real challenges. And he actually had a patent that he filed in 1849, 10 years before he became president. The only president to have a patent. And when you review and you read Lincoln's writing, where he could go from being stern, whether that's rebuffing, Secretary of State Seward, who wanted to kind of take control of the administration, or he was actually the way he showed empathy and kindness when he was sending a letter and note to somebody who had lost a loved one. His eloquence, he said, "I'm not going to make any attempt to beguile you from a loss so overwhelming." And even when I sign notes and letters, I find myself, because I've studied Abraham Lincoln so much, using the way that he signed off. He signed off as "your obedient servant." And people make fun of me all the time about that. They're like, "Samir, you're probably sending some funny message to people." But I always say that there's real character and real, I would say, satisfaction that I get behind that. And Lincoln was viewed, when he got elected, he was viewed as a second-rate country lawyer. And he was viewed as an accident president, somebody who just got incredibly lucky. And that was the case for the several decades after his assassination in 1865. But it was when his two secretaries, John Nicolay and John Hay, a history of Abraham Lincoln. And it was through that where they inculcated and integrated his actual writings and correspondence that the true brilliance of Abraham Lincoln came to life. There are more books written about Abraham Lincoln than anyone else in history, second to Jesus Christ. That makes Lincoln somebody that you want to learn more about. And I've also found, lastly, that by knowing so much about Lincoln, and I'm considered an Abraham Lincoln historian, people say, well, how do you classify? I said, well, actual historians that I know through the Abraham Lincoln Association, and said, Samir, you know so much about Lincoln, you're definitely on our level. You need to stop referring to yourself as a closet historian. When you go deeper and deeper into Lincoln, you gain so much inspiration to overcome your own challenges. I've also found that knowing a lot about Abraham Lincoln and being a source of information on Mr. Lincoln is a way to connect with people, is a way to relate to people in all walks of life, people much older than you, out of the shared respect and interest that they have on a subject so endearing. And so those are some of the reasons as to why I, go to Abraham Lincoln as my chosen source of study and enjoyment. And then, of course, being somebody who is involved as an expert witness and litigation consultant and working with law firms, it's very easy for me to gain trust, respect, and genuine endearment from others at a personal level by being able to share the life lessons, anecdotes, stories, yarns, and true wisdom on Mr. Abraham Lincoln.